Welcome to the Know. I'm Ashley Jenkins.
I'm Adam Kovic.
We knew the Switch was setting all kinds of launch records for Nintendo. It's been very difficult to find, but now that some more data is in, we're learning that the system's first month was better than probably even Nintendo could have hoped, at least in the US.
Yeah, retail estimates are in, ladies and gentlemen, and they're bringing with them some pretty ridiculous stats that place the Switch's launch in the greatest of all time conversations for any console. So,
any console.
Any console ever. So that means they'll probably discontinue it any day, right?
Well, if we're learning lessons from the NES Classic, then yes.
Meta jokes.
According to the same estimates, the Switch also has a truly ridiculous attach rate for one game in particular. You can probably guess what that is. Breath of the Wild.
ARMS. Oh.
No, yeah, right, my bad.
Okay.
Which has apparently sold more copies than there are Switches out there. And the Switch version, they sold more copies of the Switch version than there are Switches. Kind of confusing.
I have a theory on this.
All right.
I do. I know we're going to discuss it in the rest of the episode, but a long time ago when I was a kid and I got my first job, I bought a copy of Devil May Cry 2 before I had a PlayStation because I couldn't get a PlayStation at the time, couldn't either afford it. But then also, it might be easier just to get a copy of the game than it is to pay for the console. It's just the easier thing. So maybe there's just a lot of kids buying the game and like build it, and they will come like, look, Mom, I got the game, buy me the console, right?
Staring sadly.
It doesn't work, kids. I'm sorry. I just have to go to a friend's house. So anyway, sad story over.
So these new reports, it's a baffling attach rate, record-setting launches. They come from NPD Group. Now, they do market research and they monitor consumer trends for the video game industry in the US. Since the industry doesn't really like to share their numbers very often, it's about as close as we can get to official numbers, except for when companies just announce their own milestones, which they typically do only if they're a good milestone.
Yeah, it's like, hey, let's slap our asses, everyone. But if they do bad,
they like to do that quietly.
Yeah, not much of a stroke fest. But hey, Nintendo did a little bit of that this week themselves.
The stroking, that is.
There's a lot of stroking. Anyway, so back to the NPD Group. This week, the tracking firm released their official estimates for March. According to their report, the Switch outsold both the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One last month, which really isn't too surprising considering it just hit shelves.
It's the hot new thing.
And demand is high. It's through the roof. The lines are still long. But what is surprising is that it sold as much as 906,000 units in the US alone.
Now that number is really impressive for Nintendo, considering they were only projecting about 2 million sales worldwide total in the system's first month. It's also fairly impressive for a number of other reasons. Video game financial analyst Daniel Ahmad, or Zihudex on Twitter, chimed in on social media with a little bit of context about what it all means.
Yeah, Ahmad wrote that the Switch was the biggest opening ever for Nintendo and was almost the best console launch of all time in the United States, behind only the PS4, which had a pretty good damn launch.
Yeah, it sold very, very well at its opening.
So you have a really powerful, cheap console. So that console moved around 1.1 million units in its opening month on sale. Ahmad also said in a now deleted tweet, in the US, the Nintendo Switch sold more in its first month than the Wii U did during any holiday season. That's November plus December.
Now, while you might be saying to yourself, okay, big deal, these numbers just estimates, they can be wrong. Well, they were sort of confirmed by Nintendo, who did release some self-stroking actual numbers about Breath of the Wild.
Let's go to those strokes. So Nintendo sent out a press release bragging about how awesome the new Zelda is doing and revealed that in the US, physical and digital sales have totaled more than 1.3 million units. You know, it's a big deal if they're actually revealing physical and digital sales.
No one likes to share digital sales.
It's rare that they do that.
Yeah, of course, of those 1.3 million units, 925,000 of those were for the Switch, 460,000 of those were for the Wii U. Nintendo confirmed to GameSpeed that all of this combined to make Switch its fastest selling console ever, and Zelda is the fastest selling Nintendo launch game ever. That's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
That also makes Breath of the Wild the fastest selling Zelda title across its entire 30-year history, according to Nintendo.
Damn, damn, damn. It doesn't take a math genius like myself, 3 + 2 = something, to figure out that the NPD's estimate of 906,000 Switch units is actually smaller than Nintendo's proclamation of 925,000 copies of Zelda sold for Switch. So you might be chalking that up to some estimation errors, but Nintendo confirmed that's the case.
That's a lot of numbers. Nintendo said that means that Nintendo sold more of this game, that's Breath of the Wild, for Nintendo Switch than it sold Nintendo Switch systems, for an attach rate of more than 100%.
Remember, I bought Devil May Cry 2. I was dumb.
Yeah, but it sold more than 100%. How does that make sense?
Because that makes sense. I don't know. And really, this could be the most impressive number out of the whole bunch, because having 100% attach rate in and of itself would be both unprecedented and amazing for Nintendo. But having more than 100% is just ridiculous.
Like even getting close to 100%. We reported earlier that in the UK there was like an 88% attach rate for Breath of the Wild, and that was astounding. Sure, we weren't entirely sure what the other 12% were buying a Switch and not buying Zelda. We don't know what they were doing. Big fans of Bomberman, maybe. But even that was huge. So going over 100%, I don't even know how that works.
I don't know, and even Nintendo doesn't have much of an explanation for it. Nintendo speculates that it has to do with people buying limited editions of the game to collect and then regular versions to play, which I get maybe, I don't
know. Another possible explanation, I guess, could be that people are buying their Switch games while they're still waiting for their Switch units to get back on store shelves, so they're pulling an add-on.
Sure.
Or since the Switch is region-free, maybe some people are buying it from overseas because there are shortages in other places, or because games cost more in, say, Australia, so if they just buy the version from the US for $60 instead of paying $90 for it overseas, they save some money?
Possibly, maybe, but who the hell knows? I mean, it's such a staggering number that I don't know. I mean, either way, Nintendo doesn't know. We don't know. Do you know?
Nobody know.
Somebody, please help. However, they do know, Nintendo, that the Switch is doing amazing for them so far, which is great news. It's a fantastic console.
It really is. When the Switch launched last month, it broke sales records around the world. Nintendo reported that it sold more Switches in the first 2 days in the Americas than any other system. By comparison, the Wii sold over 600,000 units in the first 8 days in the Americas region. What's more, Nintendo of America President Reggie Fils-Aimé said that the Switch version of Zelda Breath of the Wild was the best-selling launch title of any Nintendo console. That's not including bundled games like Wii Sports, though, because that's cheating.
That is really cheating. Anyway, Nintendo...
And even that probably didn't get to 100% attach rate.
Possibly. Maybe old people loved it, but then they have heart attacks, so who knows? So Nintendo of Europe said that the company sold more Switches in its launch weekend than any other hardware in Nintendo's history. The Switch sold 80,000 units in the UK during its first weekend on sale, which was twice the amount sold by the Wii U. So, yeah. In Japan, though, hey, that's a fun country, the Switch's early numbers were a bit less than the Wii's. According to Bloomberg's Yuji Nakamura, citing data from Famitsu. You don't want me reading the Japanese names. Anyway, Nintendo sold 313,700 Switches. That's a very
specific number,
I like that. Thank you, Japan. They sold that many Switches in its first week compared to the 371,900 Wii consoles.
Right, now as for how the Switch is doing all over the rest of the world, to date, Nintendo also said they plan on revealing a full accounting of worldwide Nintendo Switch sales at their next financial briefing, which is set for later this month. So at that point, we should get a very clear picture worldwide how many Switches have sold and how it's doing, but the short version seems to be really, really awesome. It's still, there are still shortages, people having difficulty finding them in stores. When they come back in stock, they're generally sold out within a couple of hours. So this is all very good science for the system, especially considering that it still doesn't have a whole lot in terms of system selling games that aren't Zelda.
It's just a great time to be a Zelda fan.
It's
Unless
great.
You can't get a Switch, then you're boned.
Then
I guess you
bad.
played on the Wii U like Sad Caveman. So really though, question guys, what do you think of Nintendo's record-breaking launch month for Switch? Please let us know in the comments, and where the hell are those numbers coming from? Because if some of you guys are importing, let us know.
If you have a theory like on where you can get 100% plus attach rate, please, we're all ears. And for future updates on Switch and Nintendo, remember to like this video. And if you're new around here, subscribe to the Know.
You know what I have 100% attach rate to?
Ladies?
You got, yeah.
That makes this...
Oh wait, does math even add up there? Hold on.
Hold on. 925,000, yeah.
Oh, there you go, yeah.
Oh yeah, because 1.3. Nintendo confirmed to GamesBeat that this all combined to make Switch its fastest selling console ever, and Zelda is the fastest...
Shit.
Is that the Jedi trailer?
I think it might have been.
Okay.
Intense.
Yeah.